All right, back in the Falcons film room, going to be breaking into Michael Penix, kind of review every single play he had this game. Because at this point, the focal point of the Falcons' season and off-season are the young players and what impact they can make. You know, the season's not technically over, but I think we can all say confidence is at an all-time low. And, we're just going to hope to see good things from our young players. And design-wise here, you're going to see the motion. We have good numbers here for the screen, so that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to come in here and try to block this up, and they're going to try to get it to Bijan in the flats. Easy screen, get your QB, an easy throw to start off the game. I like this. I know a lot of people don't like screens. I think it's an easy way to get your quarterback a completion and kind of get the rhythm going offensively fine. Obviously, here we don't get an amazing gain, but that's mostly because we have poor blocking, which we'll see from kind of this end zone angle. So right here you can see 87 just not good enough, and due to that, we don't get the lane we want, and an okay play to start the drive, but mostly Michael Penix just gets an easy completion to kind of start us off. And next thing you're going to see Michael Penix take a sack. On this one, I don't see any glaring errors. I think he goes 1-2 and looks to scramble because neither Drake London nor Pitts are open. He seems to really want to throw this over the middle. We get pressure on him. Not a whole lot I think he can really do. In an ideal world, he probably gets backside to this design here with Mooney and Charlie Warner, because I think in an ideal world, you can see Charlie Warner comes up here and kind of runs this return route, and it ends up being a little bit open. But he opens front side. This hitch, it could be thrown, I think, but he really wants to hit this in to Pitts. But the Patriots, you can see, they're bringing all this pressure, and then they're going to bail out of it, and you're actually going to end up seeing kind of Tampa 2 coverage here. And it just makes it really hard for Penix to kind of throw this over the middle because it's just not there. So, pre-snap, he wants to throw this in. You can see he's kind of looking in the middle. The window's just not really there. It's just not really there. At this point, he feels a little bit of pressure. And again, in an ideal world, maybe you get backside here, but this is realistic here. He probably doesn't even have time due to the pressure, and he takes the sack, and it kind of is what it is. This throw, to me, is never here. Don't get fooled. You can see this corner bail on it, and he has the over the top. Theoretically, if you throw an absolutely perfect ball, right down his line, it's there. But we don't want to live in that world. We want to throw to open receivers. I'll try to rewind it a little bit too, if I can, to Drake London as well. So to me, at the top of Penix's drop right here, if he wanted to throw this to Drake, I get why not. Like, you can maybe put it right here, but I just think that's a really tight, muddy window. I understand why he decides not to throw it. End of the day, I don't have any problems with this process on this play. I understand why he did what he did. Obviously, you'd like to see him escape the pressure and maybe scramble here because there's certainly yards to be gained. But you'd also like to see both our tackles not lose in pass pro. So, kind of is what it is. Next thing you see the Patriots making this tricks call with their safety towards the passing strength, picking up that inside vertical by Darnell Mooney. And then Drake London isolated onto the weak side. This isn't really going to be open as they're playing, cover 2 on that side. And it's just never really there. Penix makes the right decision, which is come down, check the ball down to Bijan, hope he makes something happen in space. But unfortunately, we just don't do a good job getting the ball to him. So when I talk about, what the Patriots are doing defensively, kind of split the field in half just for simplicity's sake. So this corner is not corner, but safety is playing, just cover 2. And that means you have this underneath defender here, dropping back in a little bit of depth, but he's responsible for kind of anything underneath into the flats. So, and then this linebacker is also kind of dropping towards this zone. And then on this side, like I mentioned, we're going to have Mooney with that inside vertical, outside vertical, and you're going to see Pitts come over here towards the flat. So this safety's job is to pick up any inside verticals. That way you don't have a linebacker having to carry somebody inside. And they usually do that in response to trips on one side. So whenever you have 3 receiver types that are deep threats on one side of the field, typically speaking, you'll see the safety kind of be responsible for whichever inside vertical occurs. So defensively, they just have a good call. At the top of his drop, you can see Penix. He's kind of looking middle of the field. I think he wants to go to Drake London. I understand why he doesn't, because this player is in position to drive. This linebacker is in position to drive. It's just a very tight window that I don't think you want your quarterback making. From here, he feels this pressure with Jake, so what am I going to do? All right, I'm going to get the ball to Bijan in the flat, and then we have a kind of one-on-one with this player and Bijan in the flat. But we don't get a good ball out there, and, nothing really comes of the play. It was third long. For all we know, the corner is going to make a good tackle there on Bijan, but at the end of the day, you need to see your quarterback complete that complete that pass. You can't skunk a ball at the foot of your running back just because you get a little bit of pressure at your feet. So, unfortunate, kind of ends the drive for the Falcons early on. And next thing, we're going to see, Penix able to just rise up and kind of throw an easy pass to Drake London. You're going to see the Patriots kind of playing this off coverage, so the Falcons recognize that, probably an option route for Drake London. He sees the space, converts it. Penix notices it as well, has a good, quick completion. He hits his back foot, throws it out there. It's an easy completion. It's a good play by him. And obviously, it's, a good choice by Drake London. So right here, again, Patriots just kind of playing this quarters coverage here. You'll kind of notice the technique of all the corners is bailing the safeties back there. And just this amount of space, obviously they're respecting Drake deep, and obviously they get beat by him later in the game even doing that. But it's really easy for Penix, top of his drop, throw this, no questions asked. You have so much space to work with, backside, inside. You have Pitts kind of dragging away this inside defender with his slant. So in the event that this player maybe cheated outside and you saw them get to something exotic, where maybe this player bails and they're playing some sort of inverted, Tampa coverage. Either way, Penix is going to have options. But right here, rise up, throw it to Drake, wide open, easy completion, easy first down. Again, I like seeing a quarterback get to the top of their drop and make an easy throw. So again, 1, 2, 3. I don't even know if that was 3-step. Was that a 2-step drop? It looked a little funky. Either way, by the time he's at the end of his drop, he's rising up, he's throwing it with velocity, getting it to Drake in space. Drake's able to get another 4 or 5 yards. So it's a good play by Penix. It's a good option route by Drake, and, it lets the offense get an easy first down. All right, going to see Penix complete a pretty easy pass to Bijan Robinson underneath. Not a whole lot yardage-wise, but the Patriots are trying to present pressure and bail out of it. They're sending this safety from deep or this linebacker type, whoever, with no real shot to get pressure. He kind of gives up as soon as he sees Algier, which is kind of funny. For the Falcons, Bijan's going to do what he should do, which is he's going to recognize they have absolutely nobody over here. And you're going to see Mooney come up here and also kind of settle right here. And that puts this kind of edge player in a bit of a bind where he's kind of tweenering both and ends up giving Bijan a lot of space. So the player that's blitzing, by the way, just pay attention to this player. He's coming down as the Patriots kind of bail out of this look and end up kind of rushing 3. It just... he slows down when he sees Algier, which defeats the purpose of the blitz. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by terrible defense. Anyways, Michael Penix recognizes the space, sees this player, sees the space he has on the sideline, throws it out there. Easy completion, a little bit high. Bijan makes the catch. You get back to your first down marker. So it's a fine play by Penix, nothing crazy. Again, just taking advantage of the space the defense is giving you, and the Patriots doing dumb shit defensively. Just an easy completion. All right, next one here. I think Michael Penix misses an opportunity to kind of give Bijan a little bit of a better shot at this ball. I don't think this was an intentional back shoulder. He puts it way too short, even if it was. And, unfortunately, we're not able to connect on this, in my opinion, a well-schemed-up, designed play to get the ball to your best player down the field. Outside of Drake London, obviously. So why do I say it's good design, right? The Patriots are sitting here presenting all this pressure, and they're actually going to bring all this pressure. It's not even a fake, right? This is just cover one man. So cover one man, you're locking these matchups, right? You have that matched up. You have this matched up with Pitts. And then where the ball ends up going is you have Bijan here on the wheel. So Bijan's going to come up, run this wheel route. Not really at that, angle, but, he's running the wheel route. Drake London's going to come up here and try to break inside on this dig. And then Kyle Pitts here is running this crosser down there. I think this is very good design. Because what you're going to see is as this gets going, they're essentially trying to pick the player responsible for Bijan. So if this player is responsible for Bijan, Drake London's entire intent is, okay, he's really even looking at this player. You can kind of see his eyes. His entire intent is to get in front of him. That way we create artificial space for Bijan to catch this wheel. Michael Penix is looking there. He throws it, and we just don't put it where we want. Very clearly, you kind of want to put it on his line towards the sideline. And we just leave it way short. That's just too short. I mean, it's not a good throw. The design is there. The intent of the play is good. The process of getting to the throw is good. Pass pro, to me, against zero, I mean, you just have to be able to complete that pass. Like, I get you have a little bit of pressure in your face, but yeah, no shit, right? The Patriots are sending everybody at you, and you have an opportunity to get a big play, and we're just not able to hook it up. Unfortunate, It's just unfortunate. I don't think, and by the way, because I'm sure someone might argue it, I don't think there's a world where this was an intentional area and he was expecting Bijan to like curve it down. That's not realistic for the route. That's not realistic for the design. It's not realistic for the intent of the play. And yeah, we just don't put the right club on it. We don't get exactly what we want, and that's a little unfortunate that we missed the big connection down the field. All right, next one here. Big fan of this. Hitting Kyle Pitts on the sail route. You're going to see the Patriots running inverted Tampa here with the corners basically switching to play this outside, safety technique, and then the safety's kind of coming down to play the flats along with one of the linebackers, and also to play that middle field drop spot. We have kind of the perfect call with Kyle Pitts on this sail route, being able to get this hole shot. It's a beautiful throw. It's a beautiful catch. It is fantastic. It is exactly what you want to dial up. Kind of against this coverage. So we'll talk about that inverted Tampa. So you can see this safety type is running downfield, and that means he's going to basically fill this flat, and you're going to see this corner is actually going to be the one on both sides that are playing the safety role, right? And this player right here is going to stay in the middle of the field, and then you end up getting this other flat defender over here. So again, inverted Tampa, we have a great call for it, which is going to be Kyle Pitts coming up here, getting out on that sail, and then you have the kind of the clear out route to kind of take this safety away from the space. That's the intent of the play. A little bit of play action too. Doesn't moves the linebackers a little bit. They get one or two steps up. All you really need. Top of his drop. Love how quickly he gets into this. So let's see. Watch when he plants his back step. One hitch, throw. That's perfect. That's exactly the technique you need. It's an absolute bullet. It's a great play. It's a great catch by Kyle Pitts, who has obviously been having his, in my opinion, easily his best year in Atlanta, even including his rookie year where I think he was more of a volume player, even if he was good for a rookie, right? But this year he's really coming on. That's a fantastic catch. Let's see if we can try to get that fully outstretched arm there. Just a little bit back. Right there. That's a phenomenal job by Kyle Pitts. It's a great play in terms of rhythm by Penix, and it's a good play call, right? Obviously we've seen at this point, the Patriots seem to be favoring some Tampa looks, so we dial up a bit of a Tampa beater, and we get exactly what we want, kind of this hole shot between the vacated area from the flat defender and the over-the-top safety. So, great play. And next one, you're going to see the Falcons running all slant. Michael Penix does a good job just kind of picking aside, throwing it quickly, getting Drake London in space. He would have had the same exact throw to Mooney. Kind of the intent of the play is exactly this. You run the inside slant to kind of clear out space for the outside slant, and that's, really, really the design of the play. But I think he does a good job putting it on him right off the top. So, again, ball goes to Drake London here. Probably not even at that depth, probably a little bit shorter than that. But it's, again, the intent of the play is essentially to target these outside slants typically because, again, you have this outside player playing with depth, and if you occupy the inside player with the slants, they are going to clear all this space to make a throw into either window, which, again, you pick a side. If he had picked top side, the exact same throw was going to be there. So he picks Drake London. Hey, not a bad choice, right? Catch it, get upfield. Easy play, easy gain. Good throw again. With quick game, you got to play quickly, got to play with velocity on your throws, and that's exactly what he does here. So it's a good play by Penix. All right, next one here, we're going to see Michael Penix just give Drake London a shot, and Drake London rewards him. To me, as a quarterback, this is all you can really ask for. It's really a dot on this one, honestly. I'll say he did even more than give him a shot. Now, do you want to live in the world where your red zone offense is just throwing, one-on-ones to Drake London? Maybe. I probably would try to have a little bit more dialed up. But, there's no denying it works right here, right? So you're going to see, Mooney kind of clearing out this space. Who cares what he's running? The intent of the play is I'm going to my guy down the sideline in the end zone. Michael Penix, really, all he's going to do is raise up and throw this back foot, put it over his head, and it's a beautiful ball. That's picture perfect, right? So Drake London obviously does a really good job high pointing it. And one thing Drake London has as a skill is his ability to outstretch his arms and secure the football over other players. It's a real talent. And he's able to hang on to it in pretty tough situations. So, having Drake London in the end zone is awesome. Design-wise, I'd maybe like to see us, be able to scheme up a little bit more than just Drake London touchdowns. But, if it works, it works. I'm not going to complain. We certainly haven't been scoring enough touchdowns for me to complain. So, if you got to dial it up one-on-one to Drake London, put a good ball up there, let him go moss a guy, do that until it fails. All right, next one here, we're going to miss Drake London on this inside dig. Kind of just unfortunate. The pass pro doesn't hold up in the way we need it to. I actually think Penix does a good job just getting rid of the ball, not taking a sack here. Bijan just has to hold up better in pass pro, unfortunately. The play fake is kind of whatever. To me, Bijan obviously recognized the late creeper pressure, and he does the right choice, which is just get there in pass pro. Nobody cares about the play fake. What matters is that your quarterback doesn't get killed. So he makes the right decision. It's just his execution isn't correct. So what I mean by this late creeper is this linebacker comes up late, clearly on a blitz. He's going to beat Bijan inside. You're going to see Penix kind of fake to the left here, which for all we know, the intent was for him to come over here with the play fake. But as soon as you recognize your responsibility in pass pro is coming from the right side of the line, you abort the play fake. Who cares? Make sure your quarterback doesn't get killed, which he unfortunately does not do a good job of. And then rest of the play, right? We have Mooney where the ball ends up kind of getting just chunked at due to the pressure, where I think the intent of the play was to Drake London here, where they're running him on this end breaker. And they kind of have this, outside go right there with 87. But the gist of this play fails because Bijan just gets beat inside, and there's no real chance at this point. Penix just came out of his drop, and he has pressure in his face. He does a phenomenal job just getting his throw off and avoiding the sack. Because, if you take a sack here, it's a drive killer. As it stands, we just get to the next down, and we can maybe salvage the play. But, unfortunately, to me, it looks like he wanted to hit Drake London over the middle, and I think it was going to be there. So, execution errors just all over the place. He has no shot. I don't blame him for this at all. This is just bad pass pro by the running back. All right, not a lot to say on this one. This is just buddy ball between Michael Penix and Drake London that doesn't work. He's throwing with anticipation, trying to get this to his best wide receiver one-on-one with their outside corner on this hitch route. The ball's in a fine spot. The coverage is just really good. Obviously, you'd maybe like him to come off of it. Maybe he's able to hit Pitts. I don't personally think the window's that there. So, again, press coverage in his pocket. Drake London's going to come up here, kind of stop. Penix throws with anticipation. Right here, you see, Kyle Pitts kind of went and set this corner stem. But if, Penix was watching this, maybe the safety's able to get over the top. So I don't think there's any egregious misses. I just think this is buddy ball, and it doesn't work out. Maybe he likes to get backside to Bijan in the flats, and you make somebody miss. But, you're throwing with anticipation. When does he let this ball go? Let's see. So he's already throwing this ball right here. He's hoping that Drake London either gets a push off and creates separation. This is going to be like a nice clutch time up. The ball's, right on his chest, which, you could maybe argue maybe he wanted to put this more outside. Either way, just buddy ball. It doesn't work out. I don't have a ton of criticism other than, obviously, I think the offensive process with buddy ball, it's great when it works, but you need to be able to win in better ways. And right here, across the field, there were no real winners. So, unfortunate. All right, next in here, we're going to see the Patriots send 6 and pass pro just not hold up in the way we need it to. Obviously, we have the numbers to block 6. We just don't execute. If we were able to block 6, I think Drake London on this double move was probably going to eat because, the Patriots don't have a whole lot of help over the top. It's kind of man coverage with one deep safety. But as it stands, I think Penix does a good job kind of scrambling left, getting the completion, trying to set up his guys to make a play in space. So, Drake London coming up here, kind of running this out, and then he's going to take it vertical. Let me fix that. He's going to take it vertical. And then what you're also going to see is Kyle Pitts coming up here, kind of chipping, releasing over here. And then pass pro-wise, we'll wait till we get to the end zone angle for kind of a better view on that. But again, top of your drop, this is not optimal whatsoever. Penix rolls left. You'll see Kyle Pitts in all this open space. Good throw to get it to him. If Kyle Pitts is able to shake this one defender, there's a good chance he gets upfield. So that's why I think, this is a good play by Penix. Unfortunately, Kyle Pitts isn't able to shake the defender. Kind of is what it is. We'll take a look at the end zone angle for the pass pro here. So again, Patriots going to bail this player out, and then they're kind of sitting this overload here with, these two players coming over here, and this outside defensive end taking our tackle vertical, and that leaves Bijan to take one of the two. And, unfortunately, they just get us here, right? Because you'll see we have this double team here. Well, that doesn't do us a whole lot of good when they're getting 2 rushers on 1 running back. That's just, they schemed it up well. They basically ran away from where our coverage was shifted to. And, Penix does what he can to get outside, get a completion off. Again, if Kyle Pitts makes this guy miss, it's a great, fantastic play. But as it stands, we just don't get that lucky break from Kyle Pitts. But overall, it's a solid play from Penix. All right, next one here, we're going to see a very, very impressive throw to Darnell Mooney. So impressive that I'd probably just say next time check it down to Bijan. But, we're not going to downplay a fantastic throw because football is full of windows like these where, quarterbacks make muddy decisions. And, sometimes their arm talent makes up for it. Sometimes it doesn't. Right here, Michael Penix is able to put the zip on the ball that he wants, able to put it inside enough that Mooney's able to kind of track it down. His receiver makes an awesome, awesome catch. But design-wise, all we're really running here, you're going to see where Mooney gets the ball. He's coming up, kind of running this deep hitch route. You're going to see Drake London coming up, also running kind of this hitch route. And then he notices kind of underneath flat defender, so he kind of takes it vertical, just, trying to find space. And then we have another deep hitch route. And then what ties this all in, and where I think the ball, probably should have gone, but obviously, Penix makes an awesome throw, is probably just to Bijan in the flat. He certainly has room. But play action, top of his drop, he's looking towards Mooney. He decides he's throwing this. I would say, less anticipation. We're just on time, in rhythm, and it's a very, very nice throw. That said, we'll get the end zone angle, but you probably could have just hit, Bijan here with all this space. And I would have been perfectly fine with that. But again, he's going to push the ball downfield. He gets a really nice window throw, and Mooney makes an awesome, awesome catch. So we'll watch it from the end zone angle. Again, wouldn't call it anticipation, would call it on time and rhythm. Would I probably have just thrown the ball to Bijan? Yes. He has a little bit of pressure in his face too, which makes it obviously a little bit more impressive. But I mean, that's really tight window. It's really impressive. But it's not really a world you want to live in. I think next time you probably just get to the check down. But, I don't want to discourage aggression. So we'll call it what it is. A really, really nice throw where we maybe had a different option we could have got to. But again, really, really nice throw. Not trying to downplay Penix for putting the ball where only his guy could kind of get it. And next thing we're going to see the Falcons running the drive concept with Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Penix makes the right decision. Just get it out quickly, get it to Drake London. There's a lot of space. Just make the right play on first down. We'll talk about the actual drive concept itself. But again, a little bit of a play fake. Get it out to Drake London. It's wide open. Personally, I think Drake probably should have got more out of that. He'd probably say that himself as well. But it is what it is. So drive concept, for anybody not aware, you're essentially going to have these kind of two levels, I would say. And the goal is essentially both these routes are in line with each other just about, but at different depths. Maybe a little bit, adjacent to each other. But you pretty much want them on the same exact stem like this. And then whichever one comes open, he comes down, you throw it to Pitts. He kind of stays vertical with Pitts. You throw it to Drake London, which you'll see. He drives down because he was getting that initial depth to take away Pitts. So now you get to Drake. He makes a nice tackle in space. Again, for me personally, you would love to see Drake London be able to get more upfield. But, the guy makes a good tackle. Good for him. But in terms of Penix, I think he makes the right decision. I think Pasper ends up being really nice up front. They don't have any opportunity here. They send pressure, makes it wide open, which really kind of hurts the fact we don't get more, yards after catch opportunity off of it. But at the end of the day, Penix made the right decision. And yeah, it was just an easy completion. All right, next one here, we're going to see a screenplay that doesn't really go anywhere. To me, I'd probably put the blame on Wilkinson for being just a hair too quick to get off his block. You kind of want to sell the pass pro a little bit more. But as it stands, he's so quick to come off of it to try to get to space that it ends up kind of teeing off the end that we're running a screen. So right here, what am I talking about? So you kind of want to engage initially and then slingshot them and get out into space. Wilkinson kind of does this like fake push and just runs by the guy. And as soon as he does that, before Penix has even turned this way, he's like, oh, well, this is kind of fishy. You can kind of see we have engagement right here. We have engagement right here. So on and so forth. Wilkinson, I think, is just a hair too quick. And that's what causes this player to get into space. If this player's not in space, we probably take it more vertically. And we probably have a really good angle to make this be a little bit more than what it is. So to me, that's an error on the offensive line. Just not having the right technique we need to, so again, you can see he just kind of does this little pump fake, but he's not even touching him. And then, yeah, no shit, the guy recognizes that there's a screen pass, and he's able to blow it up. So just an unfortunate play by the tackle there, and it prevents us from getting a bigger gain. All right, next one, you're going to see Penix just make the right decision in the smash concept, get it underneath to Kyle Pitts, take the gain they're giving you, live another down. The coverage just isn't really what you want for smash, but he still makes the right play, makes the right throw, makes it quickly, don't linger for too long, get the ball out. It's a fine play by him without being anything spectacular. So smash, again, you're usually going to have kind of this outside receiver running this kind of corner route, and you're going to have the underneath or outside receiver kind of coming up and running this hitch and or out route, or even sometimes like an inside route. And really the goal is typically if the corner is kind of playing cover 2, he either gets underneath or he gets depth and you throw wherever he isn't. But right here, the coverage just isn't forward. It appears to me that they're playing cover 3. So in cover 3, you have the kind of this over-the-top defender in the zone, and you have kind of this flat defender. So there's no one to really high-low necessarily. They still do a good job, recognizing this cushion and getting the ball out. So that just prevents it from being potentially a bigger play. So again, not a ton to write home about, right? A lot of these plays, again, I'm trying to be comprehensive with my Penix breakdown so we have the full picture, right, before we come to any conclusions. But this one, a lot of these throws are kind of just don't miss them, right? If you miss them, it's bad, but if you hit them, like that's kind of the expectation, and that's what Penix does right here. So, all right, next one here, we're going to see the Falcons kind of run this deep over the ball sit with the kind of a post route, and then Kyle Pitts is this underneath kind of defender on third down. Patriots obviously are taking away the deep ball, trying to set up a fourth down, which is what they do. Michael Penix, though, has pressure in his face, gets the ball to his check down quickly, which is what you're supposed to do. And, from there, we live to fight another down. So, again, play-wise, you're going to see 87 coming up here running this over-the-ball sit. You're going to see Drake London coming up here kind of running this deep post. Kyle Pitts coming up here blocking, getting out, get to the flat, and then he's going to try to get upfield. Michael Penix, again, opens up, top of his drop. He already has pressure in his face. He recognizes, I need to get this ball out. That's exactly what he does. Kyle Pitts, he's going to try to make a move in space. Gets us to an okay fourth down yardage here. But for Penix, again, just making the right decision. Don't make a bad play. Don't panic because you're in a bad situation and make an interception or some sort of turnover. So, again, just another expected play. There's nothing really great about it. There's nothing really bad about it. It's just kind of a play an NFL quarterback needs to make. All right, next one here. Trying to get some quick game. Again, trying to hit, Drake London in the vacated space with the slant. And it's just really good coverage. I mean, you're going to play other guys who are good. I think the ball placement is pretty much as good as you could ask for, right? It's out in front of Drake London where he can kind of extend his hands for it, keep it away from the defensive back. The defensive back just does a really good job coverage-wise. So, again, not a ton of criticism from me here. So, again, I like that the Falcons motion. This is kind of a man coverage indicator, right? So they motion, and you see everybody follow. So that kind of lets Penix know I have one-on-one here, and we just motion to kind of clear this space out, right? So, matchup-wise, again, another kind of buddy ball moment that we had earlier where it's my guy versus your guy. I trust my guy to attack the vacated space and win. You trust your guy in press coverage. And, unfortunately, your guy's able to make a really good play, get his hand in there. But placement-wise, I mean, it's hard to ask for much better from Penix. I mean, that's out in front of him, at his face, easy catch. I mean, I say easy catch, easy in terms of location, right? But defender makes a good play. So I don't have a ton of criticism here. This is obviously a good throw by Penix. This is good intent. I understand his process here. One-on-one, I have vacated space inside. Obviously, I'm trusting my guy to win. And unfortunately, he just isn't able to win as well as he needs to. So, unfortunate. But, process-wise, nothing wrong for Penix. All right here, you're going to see the Patriots in zone against a really sloppy attempt at mesh. Mesh traditionally is not that good in the zone. It's more of a man beater. Obviously, that's kind of the intent of the play, right? You run the mesh part of it so you can pick a player in coverage who's falling across the formation. But if nobody's falling across the formation, there's no one to really pick, and therefore you're, artificial separation you're trying to create just isn't really there. Sometimes the over-the-ball sit will be there, but in this case, it's not. Michael Penix does a good job getting upfield. So, again, I break into mesh a lot on this channel because the Falcons run it, every team runs it, once or twice a game. So, mesh, for anybody not aware, you essentially have these two players kind of running across the formation against each other, and the intent is, one of them is basically trying to pick whichever player would be following in man coverage. So, say these two are matched up and he was following Drake, well, then this player's entire intent is basically to get in the way of this guy and create separation. Since we're playing zone, and then you'll also often have this kind of over-the-ball sit. So in the event that everybody follows, it creates this kind of vacated space, you can get the ball there. And it's usually the best option in mesh against zone coverage is kind of this over-the-ball sit, because obviously as they pass off the mesh part of it, so you have one player going this way, you have one player going this way, it kind of creates this natural vacated zone over the middle. So that's usually the zone part of mesh. But top of his drop, you can see he's looking there, and this is just super muddy. There is nothing good here. So he decides, all right, I'm just going to get upfield and run, and he does a pretty good job getting to the one. Would I like to see him be more aggressive to score? Yeah, I don't know, man. It annoyed me more in the game, but I mean, knowing that we score, I'm not as annoyed by it. But certainly you'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. So again, top of his drop, I mean, you tell me where you want the ball to go right here, right? This is just a mess. You have no chance here. He recognizes that. Get upfield, run the ball. Again, would I like to see him score there? Yes, doesn't get in. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But process-wise from Penix, nothing wrong there. Mesh, common enough concept. Patriots just had a good coverage call for it. Patriots try to take advantage of us with an all-out blitz, and we take advantage of them with a perfect play call, perfect throw, perfect catch from Drake London, Michael Penix, and, in fact, Zach Robinson even. So right here, to me, the Patriots obviously want to do two things this game from what I can tell. They want to run kind of cover two, and they want to run a lot of pressures with kind of man coverage. So again, same as earlier. When you're against man coverage, what do you want to do? You want to pick players, right? Create artificial separation. So Kyle Pitts is coming up here, kind of running this curl. You're going to have this locked matchup between Drake London and this player. So Drake London is going to come out here and kind of run this corner route. And then you're going to have Mooney as kind of a secondary player, kind of clear out the space, kind of run this in. And this would honestly be kind of, if it was me reading this play, this is my one. And then if that's not there, I'm going to look here for two. And that's really, all you really have. Because you're against the blitz, right? So you don't have a lot of time. So top of his drop. Let's rewind this actually just a hair if we can. So you can see Kyle Pitts does perfect. Kyle Pitts has gotten so good at running these pick routes. Get just enough. You don't want to get a penalty, right? You get just enough to create that separation. Right here, the guy's stumbling. This player can't exactly come off because if he comes off, guess what? It's a wide open touchdown, right? So he has to follow. You get one-on-one outside. Penix throws an awesome football. Drake London, like I said, man, what's his superpower? Fully extending those arms and catching the ball and protecting it. A lot of guys can go up there and try to catch it like that, but if they get contacted, they often, kind of drop it. But right here, Penix, great process. Get the ball out on time. Put it high. Put it to your guy. Fantastic catch by Drake London. Really a phenomenal game from him all day long. And design-wise, again, Zach Robinson has his issues, but I've seen him dial it up against man blitz pressures a couple times this game. Like we had the Bijan play that we didn't connect on, and then we had this one that really worked out for us. So again, dialing it up, creating big play opportunities and or scoring opportunities. All right, next thing we get the kind of design rollout for Michael Penix, and we're running a flood concept. The throws aren't really there to be made, so Michael Penix wisely just throws the ball away. Don't make a play that's, defended well, a disaster by trying to make something happen when you don't really have the opportunity. I don't think this window to Mooney's ever there just to get intercepted. And we'll talk about the flood concept itself a little bit. So typically flood concept is you're going to have three levels. So you're going to have something kind of to the flat area. You're going to have something kind of more deep, which ends up usually kind of being this like corner. Then you're going to have something kind of in between them. So that's why they call it a levels concept, right? There's three levels of the defense. You have your first level, second level, third level. And the quarterback, usually they're all going to be kind of on the same line. So you can see right here for the quarterback, if he's looking at this one, he can also see these two. So in the event that, Mooney was creating more separation, he'd throw it right to Mooney. In the event that maybe this safety wasn't in position and he thought he could carve this into London, he could do that. But as it stands, there's no real throw to be made, so we skunked it and defeated Mooney. It's a fine play call. It just gets covered well, and we can't get a completion out of it. So is what it is. All right, next one here, we're going to get two out routes paired with a corner and a backside dig with Algier to the flat. Michael Penix is locked on to Kyle Pitts from the very beginning, which I think is fine. The throw is there to be made. It is a tight window throw. It's one of those like, you need to put in his breadbasket throw. Penix obviously gets pulled a little bit as he's throwing this. Do we want to blame his inaccuracy on that? That's fair, probably, right? Like he's getting pulled around as he's throwing the ball. But also, I think he's had general bouts of inaccuracy, which are very possible for here. So you're going to have Drake London coming up, running this out route. You're going to have Bijan coming up, run this out route. You're going to have the backside dig to Mooney. You're going to have Algier to the flat. And then where the ball goes here is Kyle Pitts on this inside release coming up here and running the corner. And this is kind of where Penix is locked in the whole time. You can see at the top of the snap, he's looking right towards Pitts. He's like, all right, I want to throw this ball. He sees what I see, right, which is right here. If you put it down his line, I mean, over the shoulder, he's going to have a really good chance to catch this thing because the safety's kind of there, but if this is right here, if you put it where only your guy can get it, you have a good shot. But we just put the ball a little bit too upfield, and that's unfortunate, and it's an incompletion. So we'll look at it from this angle. The Patriots are sitting 5. They obviously recognize our offensive line is pretty banged up at this point. And, I mean, yeah, you're just going to get grabbed as you're throwing. Is this enough to throw off his window? Probably. I mean, I'll give him that. I think, we can say that him getting hit probably made this throw a lot harder than it needed to be. And it was already a high difficulty throw. So, next one. Next one, we just have a little bit of an alert screen. I like the numbers in the same way that I think Penix likes the numbers. We just don't do a good job blocking it up from Kyle Pitts, which is unfortunate because Kyle Pitts has been having a much better year in terms of both blocking and receiving. But I understand why they throw this. I understand the numbers they see. It should be a better game than it is. So, offense isn't super complicated, right? So right now, we have 2 guys for their 2 guys, and we have Bijan behind them. My cat's playing the bell. And now she's in my lap. Anyways, sorry. So we have numbers right here because the 2 players responsible for Bijan are here and here. So when you see all this space, this off coverage, you need to trust your blockers, rise up, throw it, and we just got to make the block. And when you don't make the block, because if we get a better seal here, Bijan's able to get up here, go wherever we need to go. And I'm not saying this is going to be a killer play where we gain, 10 yards, but we probably gain, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, something like that, and we keep the offensive drive moving. And really that's the issue with the offense. It's just super hard for them to overcome mistakes. And unfortunately, due to the offensive line and some of the other issues right now, we're just having a lot of consistent mistakes. So it's unfortunate. All right, next one here, we get Michael Penix scrambling for a pretty good gain. I understand why he turns down Kyle Pitts after wanting to throw it. The window's a little bit muddy. You could certainly argue that maybe if he gets to his backside reads, he's able to maybe get this ball to Mooney. But for me, I think I just want to more highlight that this, I think, is what you need to see for me if you want optimism to kind of rise for Michael Penix. Not that he's been bad this year, but I think even the most ardent, Penix fans can sit here and say, he hasn't, been incredible, right? Even in his good games, he hasn't been incredible. So you're going to see Kyle Pitts coming up here running this slant, and then you're going to have Drake coming over here and kind of running this kind of hitch hitch in route backside. You're going to have kind of this smash concept. I call it a smash concept because it plays out like smash, even if there's probably a different name for it. Coming up here and running the corner. And to me, I think Penix could get to the smash. So top of his drop, wants to throw it to Pitts. Could he slam this ball in there? Sure. But you have somebody drive it on Pitts, and you're probably going to murder him. I think this ball could be thrown, but it's kind of tight window, and I understand not wanting to do it. What I'd like to see him do is maybe be a little bit more calm in the pocket, get to your next read, right, this high-low, and just throw the corner. But if you're not going to do that, or if you're not going to throw your the check down would have been a fine option too. Not ideal, but it would have been fine. You're not going to do that. Show the ability to get in space and make something positive happen with your legs. Because for me, that is just what the modern NFL has turned into. So for example, right here, I understand that Penix is thinking if I throw this ball to Kyle Pitts, he's going to get absolutely fucking rocked, which is probably true. That's a muddy window to me. I like turning it down. All right, right here, he's in panic mode. The pressure, this isn't that bad of a pocket. And I'm not saying it's easy to say that from here. I know the offensive line sucked all day, but this pocket's perfectly fine. If he just gets to his backside, he probably throws this to Mooney for a big gain. But if you're not going to do that, I need you to show this ability. Get upfield, get in space, make a play with your legs. It is so hard. And I really think this game even encapsulates it because I don't think anybody would sit here and say the offense was great. I mean, this is all focused on Penix, but the run game wasn't particularly good. And when your quarterback is able to band-aid a drive, and what do I mean by that? Basically, I mean your quarterback is able to make plays out of structure that turn a play where maybe he made a mistake or someone else made a mistake, or maybe the defense has played it perfectly and there's nowhere to go with the ball, into a positive. And that's really the value of scrambling and being able to get outside the pocket and find people late in downs, because if everything's covered or if the quarterback misses a read, if he can still get something positive out of the play afterwards, it's so big. And we just haven't seen Penix do that consistently. He's done it once or twice a game maybe, But if you watch some of the top quarterbacks, they're doing it, 6 to 7, 6 to 10, even more times than that a game. And I think for this game in particular, you saw Michael Penix band-aid some drives together and make some big, big plays out of structure. Just like this one. Again, like I said, could he have got to Mooney? Would that have probably been the right, beautiful football play? Oh, he got to his backside corner. Oh, man, what a read. That's crazy. Sure. But you know what? He didn't do that. And that's fine. You know why? Because he scrambled and he got a 10-yard gain. So that's the margin of error creation gives you in a quarterback, that when you don't have a quarterback who can do that, we'd be sitting here slamming him for missing the backside corner to Mooney that was there. So, that's my opinion at least. Everybody's welcome to disagree, but I just think creation is such a big part of the game nowadays. If you don't have it, you're in a rough spot. All right, next one, we're going to see Michael Penix just getting the ball underneath to Bijan with pressure in his face. This is a perfectly fine. I don't really think anybody else is even going to be open. The Patriots are kind of playing back in this, I would call it cover 3 look. And you're just going to throw it underneath and set up a 3rd and short. And that's what you're supposed to do as a quarterback, right? Don't make things harder than they have to be. Top of your drop, pressure in your face. Let's just get the ball out. Really good job getting the ball out on time with that pressure there. And an accurate ball at that. You don't want to sit there and panic and put a bad one out there. So really all you're going to see is Bijan just occupying this inside space that's vacated. Again, they're in cover 3, right? So their outside players are taking it away. And Kyle Pitts is also kind of running this kind of spot route to the vacated zone, and Penix is just going to have a lot of pressure in his face where he's not really able to do anything. So it's a good job from him getting the ball out on time. It's an expected play. I mean, your quarterback needs to make this play. I just think, it's worth highlighting that he does a good job here. If you can keep stacking, good plays like this, and again, this is kind of backside pressure, and it flashes late, and he's still able to get a really good ball out there. So it is genuinely a nice play by him, even if it's nothing crazy, but it sets up 3rd and short, and then we'll see what happens. All right, next one here, we'll get the Falcons kind of running smash and attacking this outside corner who's in the zone, kind of just putting pressure on him, high-lowing him. It's an easy throw to Bijan. I do think the throw itself is kind of weird. There's not a lot of velocity on this, but for Michael Penix, again, just reading the corner, if he comes low, you're going to throw it over the top. If he plays kind of the corner, you're going to throw it beneath. So, again, where the ball ends up going is Bijan Robinson coming up here and kind of just running this like hitch route, and then you're going to have Drake London coming up here and running the corner. And that's really, you're just trying to attack this player in space. You're going to see he kind of carries the corner, so it flashes this space right here. So Michael Penix looking at it. All right, at this point, you can see his hips are turned like he's trying to carry Drake London, so that just makes this throw to Bijan very easy. That's what he does. Gets it out there. It just seems like it floats a while. That's the only weird part of the play. But in terms of Penix, it's a fine process. Not a crazy read, not a crazy throw. Just another fine one. Pass pro holds up pretty well. They send kind of this late pressure off the edge, but it's not really a factor in the play. All right, next one, you're going to be talking offensive process with Michael Penix, and in particular how I don't like his decision to throw this out route to Drake London. In my opinion, he should be looking kind of towards the dig, and if the dig's not there because he doesn't like the linebacker kind of occupying the window, then he should get it to Bijan. And that, to me, would be good offensive process. Bad offensive process is deciding to play buddy ball with your number 1 wide receiver against a coverage where it really just has no shot. So Drake London coming up here, running this out route, and you're going to see we have underneath leverage the whole time, and he's going to fan out, and we have over-the-top safety help. So this coverage here just is not feasible for making this throw. Like, you're going to have to put a perfect throw out there. Backside, you're going to have dagger. So dagger, for anyone not aware, is an inside vertical. And then the outside receiver is typically running an in route, a dig route. Now we're going to pair that with where I think the ball probably should end up going is Bijan to the flat. Now it would be basically going full field. So you open to Drake. Okay, I don't like Drake. Let me get to my second read. So what I would like to see Penix do here is this is your first read. It's not there, all right? Let's get to my second read. Okay, that's not there. Let's get to my third read. Now, does he have pressure in his face? Sure. But realistically, he should be coming off of this probably right about here. He should be like, okay, I don't want to throw this. Let me get to my dig. The dig's about to come open. You kind of have your first window for the dig, and you have your second window. I think the first window is kind of muddy, so I would understand completely if he was looking there not throwing it. But then you know what you do? You just swing it to Bijan in the flat. And you swing it to Bijan in the flat, I mean, that's going for some distance, right? I mean, I'm sure this linebacker would respond, so you get one-on-one on the space on the sideline. But what's not going to happen is on 3rd and long, you're not going to get an incompletion to Drake London because you want to throw a ball that's just never there. And that's really the issue with the buddy ball. Like, it's great when it works in the red zone and we get, Drake London mossing people and all this stuff, but you have to play the play. And this is an opportunity for Michael Penix to kind of go full field. Again, if he comes off, he's looking middle of the field. Oh, I have pressure. Let me get this down to Bijan really quick. And I know people are going to say the pressure is why, but I just don't think that's true. I think he predetermined that he wanted to throw this ball to Drake London, and that's the result on a third down that we really needed. So it's unfortunate. All right, next one here, got some quick game by Michael Penix trying to throw it to Drake London on the slant. It's just covered, pretty well, and he stumbles. Lucky this is not an interception. Drake wants to flag. I don't think we got a flag on this play, but it is what it is because he stumbled. I don't know if this ball is, perfectly placed, even if he doesn't. So you're going to see Drake London coming up here, giving him a little bit of a move, and then breaking inside. Backside, you're going to kind of have this clear out, and you're going to have option route coming up here, who also gives him a move and breaks inside. And he actually went super hard. And then you have Kyle Pitts also kind of running this just one-on-one go route. So top of his drop, Penix is looking at Drake. I see what he sees. This looks like pretty good leverage to throw the ball. So he decides he wants to. Drake London kind of slips. He also sets his stem. To me, when you're running a slant, this is just, my opinion, right? If you're running a slant, you really want to run away from the player. When you take it more vertical, it can be great if you catch it in stride, right? But it gives the defender an opportunity to get underneath you and cut underneath. So to me, I think Drake London sets his stem a little too vertical. You'd like to see him just come up here and kind of set it more inside or more flat. But you can see right here. Now, obviously, he stumbles. That's probably a factor in it. But you can see since he stumbles, it allows Gonzalez to cut underneath this and make a really easy potential interception that probably would have gone to the house. So, but as far as Penix is concerned, it's hard to say with the ball placement. But I think for me, I understand the leverage he sees. I think it's a good angle to throw it. We just don't stay on our feet. And we're lucky this is not an interception. So I wouldn't necessarily fully put this on Penix. We'll try to see his ball placement a little bit more. So to me, I think it's reasonable to say that, it's probably a hair behind where Drake London's stem would have been. But either way, if Drake London stays on his feet, he probably catches that. So is what it is. Just lucky he didn't get intercepted. Next one, we get to see the aggression of Michael Penix, but also just the accuracy isn't there for him to make this throw, and I think it's there to be made. Is this tight coverage? Yes. Do I think Penix historically, this is why you drafted him. You thought he'd be able to make these kind of bucket down the field throws on deep crossers. It's what I thought, and I wasn't particularly high on Penix out of college. I admit that all the time. But I did think he had a really good vertical touch on his arm in terms of getting people a chance. So he's going to be trying to throw it right here on this deep crosser, just coming up all the way across the field. You're going to have Drake London kind of coming up here running this in, and then you're going to have backside kind of this deep hitch route. So for Penix, he clearly just wants this deep crosser, and if he decides this isn't here, this would be my guess. It's 1 to 2. That would be my guess in terms of read. You want the crosser. You don't dial up plays like this for no reason. It's there, right? Middle of the field safety, right? Because they're playing cover one man because they send a little bit of pressure. We get moved off our spot a little bit, and we're going to try to put this ball out there on the line, right to him by the numbers, and it's just not there. We're just a little bit of a miss. Is what it is. It's just one of those throws where, part of the deal with Penix, if he wants to be an upper-end quarterback, is he has to deliver on these throws. And, again, it's an extremely tough throw. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying that's easy. The coverage isn't bad by the defender. You're basically asking him to put it in over his shoulder. But also, if Penix is going to win consistently in the NFL, he needs to do two things. Like the previous play I talked about, where he was creating more, he needs to have better creation ability, which, again, this game was a grid step in that direction. Or he just needs to start connecting on all these vertical passes, where, in my opinion, the strength of him should be that, if you're going to give him deep crossers and dare him to beat you on corner routes and post routes and go routes, he should be able to hit those throws at a high enough clip that, defensive coordinators will adjust and try not to give it to him, and that'll open up stuff underneath. It'll make the offensive process smoother. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to connect on them. Just, again, tough throw. I'm not saying this is a terrible play by Penix. This is one of those plays that when I think about Penix succeeding long-term, I need to see him connect on these because I think that's going to be a big, big part of his game if he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. All right, next one here. I think Michael Penix has an opportunity to get this ball over the middle to Kyle Pitts. Turns it down for whatever reason. I kind of understand it. We'll talk through his process. Either way, he gets to Bijan on this curl. Bijan makes an awesome catch. I think this is actually a pretty poor pass from Bijan. I'm sorry, not Bijan. Why do I keep mixing up names? A poor pass from Penix. Great catch from Bijan. To me, though, I think I would have liked to see Michael Penix throw this ball over the middle and kind of curve Kyle Pitts down and put it low so he can protect himself. But overall, you still got to throw over the middle. I get you don't want to throw hospital balls. I'm not saying to go out there and throw a bunch of hospital balls. But I am saying that at a certain point, you're going to have to throw contested windows, and you're going to have to trust your receivers just to protect themselves and make good plays. So concept-wise, that's what the Falcons are running. And then they're going to have this kind of whip or return route by Mooney that's also probably there. At the top of his drop for Penix, right here, you can see him loading up to throw. I am convinced that if he's throwing this right here, he would be able to put it on Kyle Pitts' line. And again, I see the safety here, right? The safety can drive down on him. That's why you're going to put the ball a little bit low and a little bit flat so Kyle Pitts isn't running full speed at the safety and getting nuked. So if you're throwing this right here, what you would do is you'd put it down Kyle Pitts' line right about here, and you put it a little bit low so he catches this and goes down and avoids the contact. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be honest here. I understand you're not trying to kill your player, but to me, this is too open of a window for you to not throw. And then you're going to look at, Drake London. Drake London, I think, is pretty defensible not throwing this. Yeah, I mean, obviously this player is driving down right now, so maybe you have an argument that he could just squeeze it in here. I think that's a really tight window. Because say he's throwing this right now, this player is going to be able to maybe get back, and then you're trying to squeeze it over this player and this linebacker. This, to me, isn't here. But the Kyle Pitts throw, I think, was there. You just had to put it low, let him go catch it. And then throwing it to Bijan here, the throw itself is just high and bad. And, I mean, that's just not good. What I think I would have rather see him do, all right, so you don't like this whole front side? Right here. So why are we forcing this ball to Bijan? Doesn't really have a great shot. Let's just look backside. A little bit of pressure. Let's step up here, look backside as Mooney comes open. And you'd be able to hit Mooney here, and then Mooney would be able to get upfield. So to me, again, I don't like the process of this play. Even if it ends up being a pretty decent, gain by Bijan, I think that we could have hit Pitts over the middle. We decide not to. So again, top of his drop, right there. If you throw it to Pitts, down his line, right down the hash, put it low, he's able to catch it, I think, without taking a big hit. So he forces it to Bijan. It ends up being a good play. I think the process, though, bothers. All right, next one here, the big pass to Drake London down the sideline. Michael Penix is going to see the single high. I recognize that he kind of has this double move from Drake London that's going to work out and get you one-on-one outside, deep down the field. We trust our guy to go up and make a play. I think he possibly could have tried to fit this into Pitts, but also Pitts' whole role here with his design is either, I'm either going to draw the safety and we have the one-on-one outside, or I'm going to get the ball. And right here, he draws the safety. We get one-on-one outside. Drake London goes up and mosses somebody. And it's a pretty sick play. It's a pretty sick play for sure. So Kyle Pitts coming over here, kind of running this deep crosser. And then you're going to see Drake London coming up, running this out, and then taking it vertical. And that's exactly where Michael Penix is going to put it, because we have a single high safety, and then we have cover 3. So looking at this, I have one-on-one outside of right here at the top of my drop. He sees, okay, this player is driving down to Pitts. That means for sure I can get one-on-one outside with Drake London. Exactly what he does, and you just trust your guy to go up and make a play. This is something I think he did a lot in college with Rome Odunze. Again, giving your guys a chance to make a play. Doesn't have to be a perfect ball, right? It's not a perfect ball. In fact, I might even say it's way too inside to be even considered a good ball. But what happens is when you put the ball in a position for your playmakers to make plays, more often than not, they're going to do it. So I think this is great design, great play by Penix, and a great catch by London. All right, next thing, we're going to see Michael Penix get outside on the scramble drill, able to connect with Kyle Pitts. This is an awesome play from the both of them, and I really like it. I also like that Penix turns down the initial throw to Drake. Like I said, kind of has struggled getting through his reads a little bit, in my opinion. But right here, you'll see what happens when you get outside the pocket and you scramble. It gives you more time to get through your reads. And that's exactly what he does here. He sees Kyle Pitts scrambling, and it's a great play. So backside, they're going to be running this dig with Mooney and 87, which I believe is Casey Washington. So they're coming up here, running this clear out. You're going to see coming up here with the dagger. You're going to see Kyle Pitts coming up here running this kind of hitch route, and then he's going to see Penix scrambling, so he's going to get out in space. And then Drake London's one-on-one outside shot that's just never really there. So, top of his drop, you can see he wants to maybe throw this to Drake, but he says, okay, there's safety. He's in his pocket. This throw isn't really there. I also have a bit of pressure in my face. So he is going to scramble to his right, look back to his left, see Kyle Pitts, and make an awesome throw, fading away. And it's great. It just Pitts just doesn't hold on. Luckily, this doesn't end up haunting us this play. But again, talking about Michael Penix, we need to see more of this. Again, scrambling just gives you more margin for error. It just gives you more error in your offense because your quarterback can overcome misreads or pressure and stuff like that. So fantastic play from Penix. Very encouraging to see him outside the pocket as much as he was this game and making good throws. We're going to see the Falcons running a concept they've run a lot. This time you're opposed to throwing the kind of corner by Pitts. You're going to see the Falcons and Michael Penix hit this throw to Drake London kind of on this deep hitch route with the corner behind him. He does a really good job getting this thing out there with speed. Drake London obviously makes a fantastic catch. But really, I think, it's a good play by Penix. So Drake London coming up here. He's going to get the ball, so we'll make him red. Coming up here, kind of running this hitch route. And then behind him, Kyle Pitts is coming up here and running this corner or back pylon. And then you're going to have Bijan coming up here kind of towards the flat. And really, we've seen them do this before, and Michael Penix has kind of hunted this corner route, or he's missed it before. So the first time I saw them run it, he missed the read. The second time, he threw the corner and connected on it. And then this time around, he's going to hit Drake London with a little bit of anticipation. So right here, he's looking at it. He recognizes kind of this space is going to be open, so he decides he's going to rip it with anticipation to Drake London. It's a great play. It's a great throw. Design-wise, it's something they've run plenty of times. I think they even ran it this game a couple times. I think once or twice before this. So, yeah, it's a good connection by Michael Penix. All right, next one here, we got a turnover-worthy play from Michael Penix. The game really should just be over here if this is intercepted. Luckily, they don't come down with it. I certainly think, the stem and the break for Drake London probably isn't ideal either. And I don't think, that's where you want to put this throw, particularly because this is exactly what happens. So if you're going to throw this, which I really don't like this throw in this concept in the red zone because I feel like it happens so often where essentially you're trying to get, your inside player towards that back corner of the end zone and you have this guy kind of underneath and the goal is to take away this corner here. But what so often happens is this corner is going to be with him, and then as soon as he sees the quarterback throw, he's able to fade back into it. So if you are going to throw this, and I guess I'll drop the backside, right? They have kind of Mooney coming over here, and they have, Pitts kind of running this glance route as well. And then you're also going to see, either way, an eligible man downfield because our left guard decides to go block somebody like as a run play. So top of your drop right here, what you need to really do if you want this play to work is you have to be very peculiar with your stem, right? You cannot take this towards the sideline. It has to be that exact back corner because at least that way, this corner can't fade back into it super easily. Because I see what Penix sees. He's like, all right, I have the one-on-one because this corner's coming down in the flat. And he would be correct if we are running to the exact back pylon. It's more of kind of like a, almost like a over-the-shoulder breadbasket type throw. But we don't put it there. We put it more towards the sideline right here. And since we put it more towards the sideline, it allows this corner to fade back into it and pick it off. If he was able to. So I'm saying the throw, if you're going to throw this concept where you have kind of this underneath and you have the corner over it, it truly needs to be a back pylon throw. You cannot put it in this space here because it just makes it too easy for this corner to fade off and pick it off. So execution error for me. Don't like the call necessarily to begin with, just because I think I so often see this get picked off by this backside corner who the quarterback isn't really reading, and it's just hard. So don't love this play design. Don't love, the decision to throw it, even if I understand it, and I don't really love the stem from Drake London. So lucky the game wasn't over here. And also our left guard went and blocked somebody like it was a run play. So we'll see how the offensive line performs moving forward. All right, again, you're going to see the Falcons. They see this man coverage indicator. They're trying to run a pick route. New England does a good job passing it off, and it's never really there. Again, I just think this is a tough world to live in the red zone where your red zone offense is just throwing go balls or one-on-ones outside the numbers. And certainly this isn't a good enough ball to begin with. So again, what you're going to see here, we kind of saw it already happen with Drake London, right? They're kind of come up here. They're going to have Drake London essentially pick this player for Kyle Pitts and have him come on the outside. And you're trying to get that one-on-one. And then backside, if you were going to get through your read, you'd maybe come over here. But to me, top of his drop right here, looking at this, you can put this back shoulder. I think that's reasonable given what you've seen your receivers do today. We just don't have a good enough throw is really the issue. And the pass pro is good, So there's not really an excuse for me. But like if you put this more on Kyle Pitts towards here, I mean it's it's certainly possible he catches this. We put it way over his head, never going to happen. And again, if he were to come off of this, let's rewind this a little bit. So let's say he decided not to throw this to Pitts. So right here, he decides, all right, I'm going to turn it down. So maybe you glance at Drake. So Drake would be your 2. All right, that's not really there. And then you get to your 3rd read over here on this backside. So again, all time in the pocket. If he comes off of this and he comes off Drake London and he just throws this, it's a wide open touchdown. So again, process-wise, just it's a tough world for me to live in. I understand why he throws it. You trust your guy, back shoulder him. Okay, cool. But just contested balls in the red zone, like it's great when it works, and we see it work this game with Drake London repeatedly. I think Kyle Pitts could have made that play. It's just not a good enough ball. It's just a tough world to live in, man. Like, and maybe that's the world the Falcons are going to have to live in because the run game isn't really working because it's easier to score in the red zone when you just punch it in. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But again, right here, bad ball, no chance. Unfortunate. All right, so again, I mean, if you want to live in this world, that's fine. I mean, Drake London obviously makes one hell of a catch. I think it's a pretty good throw, too. If you want to live in this world, that's perfectly fine. I don't really have a ton else to say. Like, obviously, this is a good throw by Penix. Obviously, this is a great catch by Drake. I just think all these one-on-one balls are just going to be tough. Like, you'd love to see guys just more open, I guess, is how I'd put it. But, I mean, I guess that's where we're at with the red zone. It's going to be a lot of buddy ball. Penix appears to be good at it. I mean, we haven't really run a ton of these kind of plays in the red zone so far for me this season. So, I mean, we'll see how it sustains itself going forward. But maybe there's a world where, he's Aaron Rodgers and he just throws fade balls in the red zone and he connects on every single one, and that's the offensive solution for the Falcons in the red zone. I don't know. Like, I'll be very curious, much as I'm criticizing it now. If it works, I mean, it works, right? Like, there's a world where this is the new thing he does in the red zone, which is just put the ball for his tall receivers to go catch. And, we'll go from there. But, I mean, obviously it's a great throw. It's a great catch. And, it was a really big drive from Michael Penix. Not going to be a ton of analysis on this one because, I mean, everything's covered really well. I just want to talk about the same thing I've talked about before. If Michael Penix can do this more consistently and more times every single game, it just opens the offense up so much, man. I mean, look how easy this is. Look how easy it becomes when your quarterback's able to get outside the pocket and make throws. The pass throw is good up here. And, coverage-wise, the defense has us beat here for no good reason. Like, our offensive line does great, and it ends up not mattering because they have us beat in coverage. But you're going to watch, just watch Drake London coming up here, setting this outside stem, kind of break it inside, and he's going to whip it all the way back. And this is so easy. The corner has no idea what's going on because his eyes are on Drake. So right here, Drake's breaking in, corner looks. Well, Drake's going to break back because he sees Penix scrambling. And this is just so much space. Look how explosive this play. I mean, we're about to get a massive, massive chunk play because our quarterback scrambled. And he made a good throw in space. And Drake London came back to the ball and made a fantastic catch. That is what I need to see going forward. The ability to, when the defense plays everything perfectly, the quarterback makes them wrong. You see it all the time with Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. All the top quarterbacks in the league consistently do this. And if Michael Penix wants to start, climbing the ladder in terms of quarterbacks in the league, this is a great first step, this game. So very, very encouraging for me to see this. It is probably the thing I am most interested in for him moving forward. All right, this one's just pretty brutal. I mean, the snaps early, we have no pass pro. We chunk it to the feet, and we get a grounding call that ends the game on a drive that, Michael Penix made kind of happen with that big scramble throw. We had a real opportunity to win. And again, the guard here, to me, I'm just going to assume the center is in the wrong. The guard looks like he was ready to kind of, tap the center's leg. I don't see, Raheem Morris was saying someone in the secondary was clapping or whatever. Penix thinks it too. I don't think that's true. You would love for Penix to have the awareness to either chunk this out of bounds or chunk it at Bijan's feet. He seems to be trying to chunk it more towards Pitts, and we get a big intentional grounding call, and it just kind of dooms the game, which really, really, really sucks. Like, there's no other way to put it. It absolutely blows. It's brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. And it's hard to be super critical, but also it's one of those things, it's like, I mean, this is quarterbacking. Your margin for errors are so small. Like, if this is what you're going to do, I mean, it's going to be tough. I'm not saying it's reasonable to expect him with this pressure to sit up there and just throw the ball to Pitts. That's not reasonable. But you'd love to see him be able to just chunk it at Bijan's feet, know where your running back is. Hopefully it's a learning lesson. But, yeah, I mean, it's a brutal mistake. And it kind of ruins what was a pretty good game for him. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it absolutely sucks. It's a total vibe killer. The season's probably over. Yeah. All right, last one here. I understand Michael Penix is pressing and trying to get this ball downfield to basically win the game, but I think the more mature play would have definitely been to, check the ball down to Kyle Pitts and hope your guy makes somebody miss in space, and then maybe you have an opportunity to either go for it on 4th down or, kick a super long field goal. Again, I understand his process here, so let's rewind a little bit. I'm too busy talking than analyzing the play. So, again, he wants to try to hit this big in route to try to get the 1st down. You have Drake London over here on a go route. You have this big crosser. And you have where I think the ball should go, which is Kyle Pitts in the flats. Because, again, top of your drop, this just isn't there. I mean, you have underneath window defenders. This is never going to work. Maybe you look backside, try to fit a hole shot in here. I don't think that's a good idea either. I think the mature play is to hit your check down in space, one-on-one, and hope that they're able to get you somewhere to like the 45 if everything works out perfectly. But that's not what we do. We try to, force a ball in there, and it really should have been intercepted. And then after this play, obviously, we go punt. So overall for Michael Penix this game, I thought the first half was pretty good. I thought the second half he had some more misses and some unfortunate plays, but also some really good plays. So overall, kind of an more up than down day. But I think some of the consistent issues with his game were present. Obviously, some missed middle of the field throws potentially. Obviously, I think his ability to get through reads right now is not super high level. I think you saw his accuracy mess with him a little bit. Not as bad as I thought on the initial watch, but certainly, just some misses. But the biggest, most encouraging things from this game to me was his scrambling. If we can get that on a week-to-week basis, I think the margin for error for this offense goes way, way up. His ceiling obviously goes up as he gets better at scrambling. So we'll see what's happening going forward. Obviously, this is the longest breakdown I've done in a while. Part of that's because the Falcons pissed me off, and I was like, all right, we're going to watch every single Michael Penix snap and see where we're at. We will break back into the take next week. Obviously, the defensive players played awesome this game. Jalen Walker was a killer, so I don't know what I'm going to break into next week. But at my core, I'm a quarterback guy. I love watching quarterback play. So I wouldn't be shocked if I break into Michael Penix again next week, especially depending how he plays. So stand by, and thanks for watching.